Peace. We back with another episode of Politics and Black Families. I'm your host, Rafielle, and we here with Rashaun Kemp, District 38, the runoff. Thank you for joining us, brother.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here, brother.
Always. So tell me, why District 38? What made you get involved?
Yeah, so, I've always been involved ever since I was younger. And I always tell the story. I was raised by my great-grandmother. And Graham, really had a big impression on my life and kind of the trajectory of my life. And so I feel like just going thinking back to a memory of going voting with her and, going that back in the day, you have to go behind the curtain and you used to have to pull levers and stuff. So, I think that really, sear something in my mind to really be engaged and get engaged. And so from then to becoming an educator and principal and now being here in Atlanta for over 14 years and just seeing that we can really change things if we just lean in and do something. And, I just see this as another opportunity to do something for the community, especially, at a time such as this.
Yeah, so your background is an educator, principal, correct?
Yeah, I was high school principal.
Yeah, so education in Georgia, what's your gauge? What are we looking at?
So we got a lot of work to do, man. The sad thing is 60% of children across the state are not reading on grade level.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
As it relates to, making sure that kids are reading, man. That's the most fundamental thing that any child needs in order to be successful in anything else.
Yeah.
And when you hear stats like 60% of kids not reading on grade level, to me that says crisis. And so we got a lot of work to do to change how we do things in education.
Yeah. So is it coming from the household? Is it the education system? How do we work together? How do we glue it? Is it tutoring? Is it summer programs? What solutions do you have for us that you think?
It's all those things, man.
Yeah.
I will say, all those things except for maybe the summer program. Summer program, when I say summer program, yes, we need to have summer programming, but a lot of people relate that to summer school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And summer school hasn't been shown to be the most effective way to try to close gaps. So it's about keeping kids engaged now that we are in summer, keeping them engaged, keeping them learning. But I think it's a mixture of things. You think back to just the way our country was created and, the gaps that exist, they just continue. And so we have to find ways to address kind of the root causes of some of these things things that are existing in our communities, whether it be healthcare outcomes, access to healthy food, parents being able to spend time with their children. A big misnomer about Black and brown communities is that we're not involved in our children's academic success.
I think we overly involved nowadays.
Exactly.
Right?
We are.
Yeah, it's a lot of work that we're doing, a lot of pulling that we're doing. I think a lot of people have stepped up. I always say that these races I've seen have become educators' races. Right?
Yeah.
I see so many educators getting involved.
It's a lot.
I'm talking about everybody, right? Do you think it's possible for us to move forward with the current situation at the State House where it's kind of, the school choice, the voucher program? What are we looking at there? Are we going to be fighting this for a while, or are we going to see some momentum?
Oh, we're going to be fighting for a while.
Okay. All right.
There's no secret. We definitely going to be fighting for a while because I feel like, as with anything, this country is getting more and more divided. So you have Republicans that are pushing these, to me, red herring ideas of, we're going to give everybody $6,500 to send their child to a private school.
And is that a bad thing?
But this is the thing. Those private schools aren't $6,500. They're $20,000. And so the average family is not going to be able to make up that gap.
Yeah.
In addition to that, my concern is taking public dollars outside of the public school system and pretty much, in my opinion, giving millionaires a tax credit to send their kids to private school.
But let me ask you, you're definitely against the voucher program?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you, what about for the middle-class Black folks who just making it, or just family? Let's just say family, right? Let's just say family is just making it, but they are sending their children to private school, and they can use the extra $6,500.
Yeah.
How do you persuade them different? How do you...
Because at the end of the day, it's recognizing that, our public education system has lifted so many people, especially in our community, up, right? And we should not be divesting from it and taking resources from it. That's my concern.
Yeah.
The vast majority of children, no matter what choice programs you put in place, are going to be educated in public schools.
Yeah.
One thing I do believe in that I think is showing some success is public charter schools, especially charter schools.
Explain to that, because I get confused with that. What's the difference between a public school and a charter school?
Yeah, so let me help you this way. So a traditional public school is like you live in a certain community, your zip code says, okay, you're going to go to Banneker High School, right?
Yeah.
That's a traditional public school. A public charter school says, you know what, we're going to serve Atlanta Public School District, the whole district. No matter where you live, you can come to our school, but we're going to be given some more flexibilities that maybe a traditional school doesn't have. And in exchange for that, we're going to be held accountable. So if we're not successful after 5 years, we could face being closed.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of give and take of a traditional school and a public charter school, and some of the benefits for it.
No,
so,
thank you for sharing that with me. You kind of educated me on that.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this thing. I hear a lot of talk about teacher raises.
Yes.
Teachers say we need to make $75,000, $65,000. Kemp say, hey, I'm gonna give you all $1,000. They say teacher unions were holding it up. Walk me through that. What is it? Are teacher unions good? Are they something we should watch for? Should we be advocating for them? What does that look like?
I think they're good. At the end of the day, there's always pluses and minuses with anything. Nothing is perfect, right?
Yeah.
I remember being a principal and one of my teachers, asked to
Were
see
you like Mr. Clark?
I was, dude, kids would call me Mr. Clark. Even staff would call me, here comes Joe Clark. Here comes Joe Clark. They literally would, man. People see me oh, I can't believe that's how you are as an educator. Man, I kept that school in order, man. Yeah. But you have to, because children want structure. A lot of people think oh, they don't, and it's about building relationships too. I think I had a really unique situation. I became a principal at the age of 27. So I still look young now, but back then I looked like one of my students. But that helped me build a relationship and rapport with my students. But, at the end of the day, I feel one thing that has that sets, public charter schools, and I'm probably getting away from the question.
No,
Go back to what your question
was.
What was your original question?
Well, it was kind of trying to get the idea around how should we be looking at
teachers' raises.
the teachers' unions and being should we advocate or what are we doing? Because again, I hear a lot, I sat down with some folks, right, and they were from the other side, and they were like, no, teacher unions are horrible. They're holding progress up. This is not going to happen. And then I, speak with, it's an educator's race. They're like, no, definitely. You need unions. I had Bryce Berry on, and he was like, definitely unions all day. So I'm just trying to see how should we look at it, especially as, we look at the school board races, and we're not getting the turnout that we need, right? There's a lot going on there. You look at people who advocate for school choice, and they keep bringing up unions. So, what are we looking at? Should we be concerned, or is it a way that we can advocate for, against? What does that look like?
Okay, so this is where I was going with that. Yeah. So I remember a teacher telling me after I asked to see their lesson plans, because one thing that we required is you have some solid lesson plans in place. You're not coming to school the day of and trying to teach a child. You're really putting some work and effort in this. And teacher's well, I don't have to show you that. I'm wait a minute, I'm the principal, man. I asked for your lesson plan. Yeah. And so I think, with anything, there's good and bad. So to them, they were trained based upon union, relationships and contracts that, this is something that, leadership should not see. But on the other hand of that, you have unions that are truly advocating for teachers to be paid fair wages, to make sure they're getting a certain amount of breaks and planning time. That honestly is probably the number one thing you hear from teachers. We don't have enough time to plan. And you want them to have balanced lives just like anybody else. So I think there's a give and take with anything.
Indeed.
But ultimately, I think teachers unions are more good than they are bad.
Indeed. Okay, so we're going to move it along. Thank you for answering that, right? Well trained. I see whoever your campaign manager, they're getting busy. It's all good. But women's choice, you advocate. Yes. I see you on your page.
Absolutely,
it's definitely a women's race because I see the ladies showing up.
They are.
And males, we're doing our thing too, but we can increase participation. We got to do more.
Yeah.
So when you advocate for women's free pro-choice, all right, or not pro-choice. Are you pro-choice?
I am pro-choice.
Pro-choice, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
What does that look like in District 38?
Yeah, as a sheriff, I was raised by my great-grandmother. And
Graham, shout out Graham.
Yeah, shout out Graham. I raise her up anytime I get a chance because she sacrificed so much for me. But I had so many women, my aunts. I got one uncle, the rest aunts, everybody, women. And to me, it's just about fundamental right of a woman being able to say whatever she does with her body. It's her decision. I don't care if you believe that abortion is horrible. Ultimately, that's not you making that decision. It's that woman making that decision for herself. I don't think that God willing, as an elected official, should be telling a woman, oh, this is something that is wrong. Like, no, that's something you should be doing with your own body and a decision you should make. So I think, one, women need to be paid fair, equal wages, and I think women should be able to make decisions about their own bodies. Like,
How do we get here? How did this become this tug of war where every election season it's back up, it comes back up? Like, are we going to be fighting this for a long time too?
We here now because people elected Donald Trump as president. That's why we having this conversation now, real talk. We got, hopefully they don't do that again. But,
I got you.
But seriously, that's it. Like, Roe v. Wade was overturned as a result of him, getting all them judges in. And honestly, I think, what hurt Hillary Clinton is she's a woman. And hopefully we'll get there to where.
So you think Hillary Clinton would have been better for the country than Trump?
Man, yes, 100%.
Really? In which way?
Absolutely.
In which way?
One, we wouldn't have a president telling people to drink bleach during a COVID pandemic.
They never gonna let that go.
But he was for real. I really think that man was for real. But I really think that Hillary just would have been a much more sane president, for one. It wouldn't have been as dramatic.
Okay.
Donald Trump, he's funny. He's comedy. You know, it keeps people tuned in on the news and things. But ultimately, I don't want to turn to the news to get comic relief from my president. I want to know my president's taking care of business and doing stuff that impacts me. So
I mean, so what's your gauge on Biden? How is he doing, in your opinion?
Man, Biden is a solid president. Like, I feel like if Biden wasn't
saying
so
that, or
old,
you just winking? What you doing?
Seriously, I legit believe that Biden is an impactful and effective president. Like, if he wasn't so old, and honestly, I think he gets to do many things that Barack Obama would have wanted to do, but a black man wasn't able to do.
That's fair.
So I think Biden is legit. Solid president.
I got you. So what does great healthcare look like in the state of GA? And also, what does great community outreach look like to get these folks to go vote for this runoff that you got coming up?
Yeah. One, great community outreach is just engaging all voters. Sadly, I'm going to keep it real that, campaigns have finite dollars, so you're always told, well, you got to target super voters, right? Yeah. But I think if we get more younger folks, I'm not saying I'm super young, but I am younger than many of the people that serve right now, right? I think we need to get more of us engaged and being willing to step up and run. Like, it's not an easy thing to do. I definitely would tell anybody that, but it's something that if you have the commitment, like, you can truly engage a different electorate than normally would be engaged. Like, I mean, I have people all the time telling me, like, what do you wear to a fundraiser, or how do I call people? Like, we're changing what politics look like.
Indeed.
Yeah, and I think that's how we do it. Yeah. But to your point about healthcare, like, one, we need to expand Medicaid. Like, Georgia is just leaving billions of dollars on the table. Hospitals are closing. I live south of I-20. We live in a hospital desert. There's no full-service hospital south of I-20. Like, this is Atlanta, Georgia. Black Mecca of the South. Yeah. And we see hospitals not existing south of I-20 in this district, in District 38. So I think if we expand Medicaid, that will help to change, the pool of people that's able to afford hospitals. And honestly, we got to support businesses that are in our community and services that are in our community, but also holding people accountable to say, if you're going to be in our community, we want quality, because a lot of times people don't show up how they should in our community. So,
indeed. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I do want to ask you this. What is your competition doing wrong that you are going to do right? I won't mention any names because you're running, because basically want them to know about Rashaun Kemp. But what is your competition doing wrong that you are going to do right?
Well, so my competition has served down at the Capitol before, right? And I think a part of running for office and holding office is about temperament.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't think that my opponent has the temperament to serve. Like, he has a history of threatening behavior,
like what?
Literally on the
behavior?
floor of the House. Stacey Abrams, when she was leader, had to call the sergeant at arms because he was threatening fellow representative over politics, over running for office. So I think those
Give us the tea. We need the tea.
A lot of people don't know this, and they need to know these things, right? Because we have very short-term memory. I mean, the fact that Donald Trump could potentially be president shows we have such a short-term memory. But a lot of people don't know this. Like, he literally was threatening a fellow representative on the House floor, and Stacey Abrams, who was then minority leader, had to call the sergeant at arms to, like, get him to chill. So, I just don't think that he has a temperament. And honestly, a fellow candidate was threatened at a debate from one of our previous debates. Yeah,
I got a few of the candidates on the show.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that offline.
I can share it. Like Nate Green, he won't hide
Really?
from it. He'll share it, you know. And Nate
wow.
Green has endorsed me, but like, legit, like we were in
Nate
South
right
Florida
around
and
the
the
way?
police were called as a result of it. Like, I mean,
Wow.
that's stuff that I think a lot of people don't know, and they need to hear these things because you don't always get to see what happens behind the scenes in these races, man.
Yeah, indeed.
So,
well, we're gonna keep it moving, right? Thank you for sharing. We're gonna talk about this.
I can keep going, but
no, we should. We should. I wish we could. So we're gonna go offline, and then we're gonna go to our online correspondent. We're gonna see if he got some questions for you. But this is just some random rapid fire. We're gonna go culture, right?
Yes.
So I'm gonna say, who makes better music, in your opinion? Patti LaBelle or Luther Vandross?
I gotta say Patti. I
Patti?
love Patti LaBelle, man.
Patti LaBelle?
I love Patti LaBelle.
That's
I love Patti when she had the like hair that was like,
Did you get
ironed or something.
Did you get
like,
sweet potato pie?
Man, heck yeah, I got one. Those are good, man.
Yeah, I got you.
I got the cobbler too.
You hear me? Hey, okay, one time for Patti LaBelle. Who had more classic episodes, Cosby or Martin?
Cosby.
Cosby?
Like Cosby.
More
like,
classic
dude,
episodes. Aaliyah,
like,
what do you?
Cosby, 100%.
Ralph,
like,
what is it? More classic episodes than Cosby?
That is not tough, y'all. Like Cosby made us want to be like doctors and lawyers and
Classic?
Okay, classic. Okay, we do quote Martin more. Okay. If you want to talk about like
Dominic,
quoting,
what you think?
yes.
What you think, Dominic?
Yeah.
That was before me.
But come on, like.
You've never seen an episode of Martin, have you?
I've seen a few. When they used to be on Nick at Night.
Oh wow! Oh, Nick at Night. Wow.
You probably was
Oh
you probably went to his school.
I was at the tail end of like my wife and kids and all that.
So you have no idea what I'm saying when I say Rudy and her
no,
goldfish
we know
dying,
Rudy. Come on.
and like they had the funeral.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
y'all
come on.
remember that? Like man.
All right, so I got all right, so I got one more I got two more for you. Then we're gonna go right to our online correspondent. Then I want you to go look in that camera and let them know why they should vote for you.
Okay.
That's three
Okay.
things right there.
All
All right,
right.
so first, which one is a swing state? Ohio or Georgia?
Georgia, 100%. We're both from Ohio. Ohio's
they both a
red
swing
now.
state.
Ohio's red.
It is red.
It's red.
It is red.
Yeah.
It's red. Okay, and name your most popular Bruce Springsteen song.
Lifeline.
Born in the
Okay.
USA.
See? Okay. There we go. I'll go with that one because I didn't even know he sang that.
All right, say less. So we're going to give it to Brent. Hey, Brent, he all yours. Go ahead.
All right. It's really good to meet you again.
Same.
And I want to jump back into the school discussion.
Yes.
I want to ask, how do you feel about all year round school with the block schedule? I believe they're doing 6 weeks in and then 2 weeks out all year round. And we see kids graduating typically between 16 and 17 instead of 17 and 18. How do you feel about switching to the all year round block schedule for America at home?
As a whole, I don't know, but I will say I'm all for doing school differently. I think we need to totally transform our education system. So anything that is different from when we did it in the past, because back in the day it was about being back in the, field, having opportunity to do stuff like that. Like we now live in a technological world. Yeah. We got to totally switch up how we do education. And hopefully that's why I think we see more educators running because they know like we have to do something different. So,
I called this year the educators race. I said they were everywhere. They were everywhere.
Yeah.
Brent, you got any more questions?
Sure. And do you see maybe maybe not in some near future, but do you see us getting federal funding so that we can actually reduce our classroom sizes to 12 students a teacher? And how do you think that will affect
Federal
us
funding to
in
reduce class sizes.
Will we ever see classroom sizes of 12 to 1?
That's hard, right?
Honestly,
I don't think private schools like that, do they?
I mean, there are
Private
some.
schools are like what, 16 to 1 or something?
There are some charter schools that have like 15 to 1, but it's so hard. Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
12 to 1.
Yeah. There are some schools that do it, but
Even 16 to 1, right? Even
Yeah.
16 to 1, because right now it's 32 to 1.
yes.
You can't teach 32 adults anything.
Right.
How is that possible?
100%. Yeah. And then like right now, based upon our formula, the QBE formula, you get one school counselor for every 50 kids. Like that don't make sense. Like we have to totally transform like education, like just the way we fund it, the way like we have ratios. 12 to 1, I don't know if we're gonna get there.
Yeah, I got you.
I mean, I pray we do, but I don't know. Like
Yeah,
they
we
would have to
hopeful.
invest a
We
lot of
hopeful.
more money
We hopeful.
into that.
We
Yeah,
hopeful.
yeah,
So
yeah.
y'all know we're gonna wrap it up. This is another episode of Politics and Black Families. I'm gonna hand it to you, Rashaun. You look in that camera, let them know why they should vote for you, and let them know how important this runoff is. Get out and vote.
Yeah, I cannot stress enough how important this runoff is. This is a state Senate seat in which the person that holds this seat is going to be determined on June 18th. There's no Republican in this race. The way our politics is now, a lot of races are determined in the primaries. And so please, if you live in Senate District 38 from Sandy Springs, Atlanta, City of South Fulton, Fairburn, Union City, Palmetto, please get out and vote. Early voting starts Saturday, June 8th and goes all the way to June 14th, Election Day on the 18th. I definitely believe that you should vote for me because I'm running as a father that's determined to change the state for all children and all families. My children are my inspiration, Brooklyn and Jaden. Brooklyn should be able to live in an environment in which she makes decisions about her own bodies, and Jaden should be able to grow up as an adult where we're not trying to limit what people are learning in our education system, and ultimately we all should be able to have access to quality health care and quality jobs, and I believe that I have been somebody that's shown I produced results as a principal that turned around a high school, worked in state government, and now working across the country to advocate for schools founded by Black and brown leaders. So reach me, RashaunForGeorgia.com, but make sure you get out and vote. Rashaun Kemp for State Senate District 38.
And there you have it. Y'all know what it is. Another episode of Politics and Black Families. Clap it up for Rashaun one time. Clap it up, clap it up, clap it up. We'll catch y'all out there. Peace.
Check. IKeepItClassic.com. It's always a little bit. How I feel to be young and American. South Beach all week drinking till it's embarrassing. Chicago, then London, then Japan.